Hello, pop culture connoisseurs. Do you gain a dark sense of peace when the guilty are punished by a violent vigilante? If so, maybe you should get some therapy, and then subscribe to Punisher Body Count, the net's best podcast concerning all things Frank Castle. I'm Dane Lamont. My co-host Jake Williams and I cover the good, the bad, and the hilarious on the Punisher comics, movies, and news. Do you like chummy co-host banter? We got that. You need to get your fucking
No, you need
checked,
to fucking
man.
pay attention to the fucking movie.
You want kick-ass guest interviews? How about Mike Barron and Tom Jane?
No, I like a little bit of grit in my cigar.
You want carefully considered in-depth analysis?
I mean, yeah, just won Best Picture at the Oscars yesterday. I mean, it's no Terminator. But it was still,
Good luck with that. Punisher Body Count, twice a month on Geekcast Radio.
Me Grimlock not kisser, me Grimlock king.
Oh my gosh, this is so great.
Welcome to the Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag. Me Grimlock want to munch better.
Hello and welcome to the Pull Bag. This is episode 18. I am your host, TF Joe and Mike, and Ender is back. Hello, sir.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
All right.
It's only been 5 episodes.
I can't argue every other thing.
Well, I'm sure you could.
Yeah, that's a lie, too. I'm not doing so well today.
Oh, boy. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Transformers Prime Rage of the Dinobots. Before we get into that, we've got... oh, boy. Let's talk... comic content and comic pricing. specifically between two Transformers trades, in quotes. Okay, Rage of the Dinobots, it is a trade paperback. Fall of Cybertron one-shot, that to me is not a trade paperback because it is almost thinner than one piece of fucking paper.
I don't think it's hard to tell if it's even related.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about their relation. I'm just talking about, like, content, price versus the other one, content and price.
Right.
Transformers Fall of Cybertron is a 6-issue digital-only series that they put together in one print book for $7.99. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's 6 issues. I don't know what the page count is.
I think they're shorter. I think those are only 11
pages.
Yeah,
they are shorter. Don't get me wrong, they are. Rage of the Dinobots is $17.99, and it is 4 issues. I know that they're longer. That's fine. I'm not complaining about the price. I'm just curious as to how the pricing and the quantity of what's in a trade paperback. Like, how does that? I want to know how they come up with these prices. Honestly, like. You know, you see something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 1 collects issues number 1 through 4, and it's a $20 trade paperback. I mean, unless they're 40-page books.
My guess is it probably even comes down to stuff like, I mean, there's licensing, depends on which thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have to pay for licensing on something that's more like an ad, like some of this stuff is. Yeah. Plus, even just the size of the run you're doing, how much you're printing.
Right.
I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of factors. Frankly, they might flip a coin for all I know. I've been confused at comic book stores since I was a kid. Why one was $1 and another one was $5, and they seem to be about the same thing. So I'm.
Yeah.
It's. I just try to ignore it, frankly. I'm not very good with money.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's just like recently.
There are some numbers there, but they could be anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So, as I said, we're here.
If a comic that I think should be $2.99 is $4.99, what's probably going to happen is I'm going to go,
damn it, and then I'm going to buy it anyway because it's $2 fucking. Um,
Well,
and while that adds up, and I should be more conscious of that, it's just so not the kind of thing that occurs to me.
it usually
They move the decimal point over. I'm sure if I pick one up and it was like 10, I'd be like, whoa, okay, yeah, see you later.
Yeah, no. Normally it
And when
doesn't.
trades went up, when it was like before they were all like $20, and now they're like 25 or 30. I noticed that.
Yeah,
that woke me up. But
yeah, that's crazy. But no, it's like pricing. Like when I got into it, I knew okay, most 40-page books are $3.99. I'm fine with that because I get a 15% discount at my shop, so I technically only have to pay $3.55. But that's still, I'm fine with that, and I'm fine with the 32-page count books being $2.99 after discount $2.70. I'm fine with that.
I know it has profound psychological implications, and it probably works on most people. But every time I see a price ending in 99 or 95, I just feel like it's looking at me, going like, "We think you're an idiot." It's $4. I can tell.
Yeah.
I got the joke. It was funny in
Yeah.
Clerks for about 2 seconds. But beyond that, it's just kind of, you're a moron. Buy this comic. It's $1 less than you think it is.
Yes.
I can't blame comics for that. That's like everything on Earth is that, or at least everything in
Yeah.
America.
Oh well, this could be a whole other podcast, but look at Walmart, 1786. Yeah, that's the dumbest pricing I've ever seen. 21.96. That's just stupid.
Well, my favorite is 7 cents is not clearance. Right? 7 cents off is not clearance. Clearance is when you want it off the shelf more than you want to make money on it anymore. This is get this out. It's not even a sale.
Yeah. Yeah, clearance is getting rid of all those skids and mud flap toys from Revenge of the Fallen. That's a clearance. All right, so
that get another podcast. Anyway,
bring it back around. We're here to talk about
Dinobots.
Transformers Prime Rage of the Dinobots. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and get into it after this.
Me, Grimlock, love challenge. Dinobots transform! Me, Grimlock, kick butt.
So we are back, and we are here talking about Transformers Prime Rage of the Dinobots. This was the first thing that really got me into comics. I don't know, I saw it online, or I saw it somehow, and I'm like, ooh, I should go grab that. Of course, I grabbed in the middle of it, and it wasn't in issue 3. I grabbed issue 3 and 4, and I went back online to get 1 and 2 after I had read 3 and 4.
Well, that happens. You find something in the middle.
Well, I did it back. It's kind of like those people that will go to the end of the book and read the ending before they.
Right. Well, back in the day, I used to when we were pulling comic books off of racks in convenience stores. You were lucky to get stuff. You get 1, and then you get 1, 2 down the line, and you'll find one from a year ago. So that could be it. That's comic book reading supposed to be like that. At least it used to be. Now it's just buy the trade.
And that's what I did. Yeah. I took the 2 issues I had, along with a bunch of other comics that I had already read, and I took them up to my shop, and I said, hey, I want store credit so I can buy this other book.
See, basically, what concerns me first about when you see a book like this, though, and this kind of denotes what kind of comic it is. It has too many titles. Because it's some big corporate synergy thing going on, which is okay. I've been railing all week against in the mainline comics like Robots in Disguise and More Than Meets the Eye. It really ticks me off when they put ads in those, because those are supposed to be comic books, and that's what I'm paying for. This kind of thing, though, this is made a little more to be a toy ad, and that's okay. It's not like these things can't exist, right. But they shouldn't be interjected into the regular line.
Well, what I've noticed is
there should be a division. I mean, even the old 84 comics, they were to a toy ad. That's what they were for, and they show it. And this shows it. It ticks me off when they start putting it where it doesn't belong in terms of, like if you had like, they might start doing it this week probably, but if the regular Superman comics this week all of a sudden have like vehicles from the movie that are being sold as toys in them, I think people would have every right to get annoyed.
Yeah, no, I agree. As far as the ad placements in the main lines, I read about a month ago. I read Rid 17. The IDW ads are at the end of the book. I mean, there's no. I didn't see any ads unless I.
No, I mean like when this month. Did you, I'm talking about like, look, it's Goldfire Bumblebee, $14.99, and it's like, just buy a full page ad in the book, or they'll give you one, I bet, for that toy. And you know what? If he, the thing is too, IDW is famous for like letting its they change designs every 10 minutes on these guys, and nobody ever says anything about it. So spending a whole book explaining it was really annoying. My point is that this book is full of toys, is totally a tie-in to the game, is totally a tie-in to the show. It's a big Horkin ad, but you know what? It's made to be, and that's okay. It's a tie-in book. It's not, and it sounds like they're expanding it a little bit, and but even that won't, this storyline is not going to outlast the show that it goes with. I doubt.
Well,
I mean, it could. I mean, hey,
only way
issue 80 of a 4-issue limited series and all, but it happens. But I doubt it.
Well, the only way that I see Rage of the Dinobots, which has now become Transformers Prime Beast Hunters, the latest ongoing, the only way I see Beast Hunters, the comic, outlasting the show is if they don't bring in the Dinobots on the show.
Right. Well, I doubt they will. Well, they could. They have there's a Grimlock toy out there.
I know.
And this is the thing. I mean, they've been they have Magnus is the only thing that really ties this to Prime at all in this comics. And if he didn't look like he looks on Prime, it wouldn't necessarily do that.
Right. Yep.
In fact, he looks out of place here. That's one. We'll get to Magnus when we get there. But I like these. I like these comics. I enjoyed reading them. I think they're perfectly valid. They're a fun thing, and I'm just pointing out that I'm not offended by the adness of them. They are toy ads, and that's okay because they are. That's what they're made to be. That those can be good things. They can be fun to read, but they are limited, and because it's limiting, you can only it really does kind of crunch down in your story when you have to include things. In fact, when we get to it, the new series, that's just Beast Hunters, not that's still the Dinobots are the stars of, but it's not very toy ad centric at all.
Not at all.
It's pulled back from that. It's full of new characters and stuff, and it's got toys we hadn't seen in other media. Media sells toys. It's great for it. They know that's what it's for. That's why Power Core Combiners died. It didn't have anything to go with it. So
exactly.
Proof of this. I guess what I've been saying in long form is that this is a well placed way to do this. If IDW wants to make a toy comic to go with whatever Hasbro's doing every week, bless them, let them do it. But don't shunt it into your regular comic books, because people who want to buy comic books instead of toy ads are going to get ticked off.
Yeah, true. So for this one, the Dinobots hold the line as Cybertron falls. With Optimus Prime and the Ark long gone, the rest of the population makes their escape from the dying world, but Shockwave remains behind, continuing his experiments.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
And this is we've got a Cybertron in the background that looks very much like the one from Fall of Cybertron. That's Fall of Cybertron Blast Off, who also is a toy, shooting at the Dinobots down here, about to get stabbed.
Yeah.
It's weird. It doesn't quite go with either sets of the storylines. It doesn't feel like. It's sort of like it goes with both, but it goes with neither. It's sort of the nightmare of all this. These are actually written by at least one of the
two.
Is it two? Right? I know it's just two people doing it, but they both work on the show.
Yep.
Okay, I know. I can't pronounce her name, but I know.
I will.
Yeah.
Written by Mike Johnson and Margaret Scott.
Margaret. Okay, thank you.
Art by Augustin Padilla. So
I think it's Padilla, but I could be wrong.
Padilla. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have two L's in my last name too, so.
But yes,
I don't know why they do that, but they do.
Mike and Margaret are both writers on the actual cartoon series as well. Um,
And to my knowledge, she's the first female Transformers comic writer ever, which explains a lot. Not a lot of good things, but it explains them.
yes.
At least not a lot of good things in the past, I should say. She's doing a wonderful job. That was not my point, in case anyone was taking that backwards.
Right. What I find interesting about this specific, the way that IDW put this trade paperback together is they basically, you open the book and it's the main cover with Grimlock and it just has the title with him inside of a red circle. And you open right into the first page and they have a number 1 up at the top right hand corner. You don't even see, like, normal trade paperbacks that I've read before will have the cover of, like when we did the More Than Meets the Eye trades. They have whatever cover, cover A, cover B, whatever the cover that they want to use. This doesn't do that at all. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that it has one cover at the front, and then by the end of the story, at the last page, on the next page after the last page of the actual story, it says, "Hey, art gallery," and that's where all the covers and everything. I
prefer
like
that too, frankly. Sometimes it's nice to know where the break is, and sometimes it'd be really awkward if there wasn't some sort of break. I think it depends on how it's written and how it plays out.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got everybody fleeing the planet. The Ark is gone, and this is basically desolate Cybertron and the Dinobots fighting everybody. And
stabbing blast off.
Yes, stabbing blast off. Oh, man.
So, yeah, and then, well, this is very... It's odd, we didn't get Dinobots for a long time, and now they're just everywhere again. But this is sort of the second time in IDW's history already they've had they had Maximum Dinobots, and now they have Rage of the Dinobots.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it makes you wonder if they couldn't just have a Dinobots comic.
Well, that's what Beast Hunters is for.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the answer.
Yeah.
This is already Transformers Prime Rage of the Dinobots. I'm just waiting for that little subtitle, or the little bigger title than all of them that says, like, starring Grimlock. Though these aren't guilty of that, as they usually are. Usually, it says Dinobots, but they just mean Grimlock, and then they throw some Dinobots in. Though Furman's better about that than most. But here, I think this is probably the best portrayal ever of the Dinobots, giving them actual persistent characters, and not just Swoop and Grimlock, which happens a lot.
Yeah, but
particularly like a Snarl. I've never thought of Snarl as having a personality before. Now he seems like, Prowl's lost cousin Snarl.
Yeah. I love what they did with the writing and the bubbles in here, introducing us to each of them instead of, like you said, most of the time when people hear of the DNY or DYNO bots, as Furman would put it sometimes, is that you're seeing each of these characters. You're not just seeing Grimlock.
Right.
You're not just, like, I've argued for the longest time, maybe I haven't read enough Transformers comics from the past to really know this, and, you said that Grimlock and Swoop are pretty much center stage most of the time. Every time I've ever seen a Transformers comic, it's Grimlock. It's none of the other it's not even, I don't know, whatever. We can talk about that after the show, but I love how they're doing this with the little snippets of, like, Snarl, engineer, medic, Dinobot, hates the last bit.
Yeah. Well, it's a good establishment, especially because technically, these are neither the ones from the game, which, not all of them got enough personality time anyway, nor are they the ones from the proper IDW verse. Technically, they need introductions because their characters could be anything here. These are the Transformers Prime Dinobots, so they did need some. They did need some definition, I think, for new reader or not, and frankly, is an opportunity to kind of do them how they wanted and maybe add something to it, which I think they really have. I think this is a tremendous addition to the Dinobot mythos in that we've seen some better fleshed out versions of them lately, but we haven't really gotten to spend a lot of time with it, especially characters like Sludge and Snarl. Slag just is pissed off and yells at everything and hits it with his head. It's like Slag is right out of Bonk's Adventure. And
yes.
But, Snarl and Sludge have always just kind of been like, we stand behind the other three and say stupid things. So.
Yeah, I love Snarl and Sludge, and once we get further, episodes in the pull bag with when Beast Hunters, the actual ongoing, gets more issues behind it.
Snarl gets left behind in the movie.
He gets left behind?
He and Blaster are inexplicably left behind.
Oh wow!
But they're on Cybertron in the end. Once I was talking with somebody, we wanted to write a comic series that chronicled what happened to them during the movie, how they got from Earth to Cybertron.
Oh yeah.
Sort of like a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, but with Blaster and Snarl. Like what we call it, the Sound and the Fury.
For the record, even though Ender and I do not agree on this at all, it's Hasbro, and apparently it's a curse word. His name in the comic is Slug. We hate that. We're calling him his original G1 name, Slag. That's what his friggin' name is.
I think I've psychologically blocked it out.
I know.
I was I'm looking back now to where he's introduced, going, really? It says Slug?
Slug, combat tactics, anger issues.
It's I don't even read it that way. It's just glazed over.
Yeah. Sludge, logistics, less angry than Slag. Trust me.
Slug.
Yeah,
can't call him Slag. It means something dirty in Britain. Let's just call him douche.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And again, what I love about this book is that everybody gets equal time. You've got something here after the introduction pages that we were just mentioning. You've got this whole battle scene on the next page where Grimlock is basically saying the last ship is about to leave, blah, 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 and somebody's going to attack them, and Swoop's like, I got it, I can handle it. And I love that there's that it's not just Grimlock, that it's each of them.
Yeah. Well, they all have their own opinions and a consistent personality, and it makes a big difference in this book. I think other books that try to define the Grimlock from the Dinobots, it's still there's Grimlock, and then there's the other Dinobots, who all sort of are together, only being defined by having some difference with Grimlock. But that's not what's happening here. They actually all have their own little quirks and personality things, and it's panning out in that new book too.
Yes, it is very much so, because the first issue of Beast Hunters, the Beast Hunters comics, it took me about 5 times reading it to realize that it's Sludge narrating. I just couldn't. I don't know. I was having a stupid moment. I had to read that comic 5 times to realize.
You know why? You know why it wasn't occurring to you? Because your past experience was betraying you. Sludge doesn't narrate things, or Slag doesn't narrate things. Snarl doesn't narrate things. It doesn't happen. Sludge narrate. He can barely talk.
Yeah.
But not. That's not true anymore. But I think it's really ingrained. You're like, really? Sludge is talking to us.
Right, and that's the thing that's so
William F.
great
Buckley?
about these writers. That's the thing that's so great about Mike and Margaret is that they're giving the Dinobots personalities, as we've stated so many times in the last 3 or 4 minutes, but they're giving them actual speech patterns that isn't me Grimlock, same dumb old Dinobot. Me Grimlock smash, me Grimlock king. They're not doing. They do that. There are times.
Well, there are times when you have to. I think Grimlock,
right?
Especially is defined by his me whatever.
Going to Dinobot speak, yes.
I've never think there's any reason for the other Dinobots to talk like that. Frankly, I think I was keep it as a personality quirk, but Well, he says, my mouth's broken, not my logic circuits, and that's fine. He can be, but he just has to say me Grimlock every once in a while, or he's not Grimlock.
Right. No, and I agree. And I will say, when I first read, I think it was the Fall of Cybertron one shot, it was strange to me that the Dinobots were speaking in normal, speech patterns. They weren't speaking in Dinobot speak from G1. And now I like that they do a combination of both. And it's very cool.
Well, it's keep some of the charm, but don't beleaguer us with the,
Yeah.
Me, Snarl, talking like this, so every sentence take half hour. It's like, oh my god, we get on with it.
Yeah. So we get introduced to the quote unquote villain or villainess. Has it been?
It's
I've heard.
villainess. It's a girl. It's very clearly female.
I was gonna say it's a very scary female. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like wait, it's IDW and there are girls in it. Oh wait, it's a different universe. We can get away with being normal human beings again.
Yeah. And her name is Sir Keat. Is how I
thought it was just Circuit, like circuit.
I don't know. Sir Keat, Secret, whatever.
Well, I think this is where we really get into the toy ad because she's a toy ad.
Yeah, she is.
And
blast past for too many fairies.
Well, this is if I have any problem with the toy ad here, it's she's drawn a little too faithfully. I cannot take Circuit seriously.
Yeah.
Not with that head. I just can't take her seriously.
No.
Just like every time she's on, I'm just like, really? That's your head?
She looks like
something. If they managed to do something where just that top part was her head, and like maybe and just had
and she
fangs
didn't
at the
have
bottom,
Man at
that'd
Arms
be okay.
mouthpiece. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't. I mean, she's just got like this gaping maw open all the time. It doesn't look threatening because it's just hanging open, like the toys does. Like it can't shut. It doesn't. Does she have a head in there? Is it a helmet? I can't. I mean, I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
That's nuts.
But if you look at the toy, that's what it looks like. It's just kind of a bad head. And I have just trouble taking her seriously with that head. I'm very distracted by how much of a bad toy head she has.
Yeah. Because she looks like, on the close-up at the bottom panel on that page when we first see her, on the close-up, she looks like a cross between Waspinator and Man-at-Arms' not his mouthpiece, his chin guard that he has. The 2002 series where the chin guard raises up and down. And that's what her giant mouth, it basically is.
But it doesn't feel to me like that mouth is moving. It doesn't look like it could. So it's
it's so strange.
I almost feel like you should be able to see her chin come out of it or something into the face, like it's a helmet. I'd feel better about that even. I don't know.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And it's not. It's one of those things like I'm criticizing the comic for it because that's where it's being played, but it's not really. It's not the writer's fault. It's not the artist's fault. It's just
it's the toy designer's fault.
Yeah. So I don't know what to tell you there. There's one of the faults of doing toy centric comics is every once in a while they really hand you a lemon, and that head is it. I mean the rest of the design is fine. I think she's kind of a cool looking character other than that, but it's like what?
Yeah. So Swoop is sent to scout ahead, and then we see a giant eye.
Yeah.
Like it isn't obvious. Oh man.
Yeah. I have Shockwave. I have Sauron. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Great eye.
Yes.
They just need to build a tower like that, but just put Shockwave's eye on the top of it.
Instead of Optimus Prime.
They kind of do sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Especially with Shockwave and towers.
Yeah. So they get to the crashed ship because Magnus's ship has crashed. They get to the wreckage and they find a Predacon apparently, and Grimlock goes into Dino mode and gets all angry. That's pretty much what happened.
Why not? Well, it is called Rage of the Dinobots.
Yes.
We had to get to the rage somewhere.
Yes. Rah! Rip it apart!
As opposed to the next, more angry and painful, but slightly less entertaining hemorrhoids of the Dinobots.
Oh, God.
Let's see.
Oh, man. So, this whole battle with this Predacon thing, Grimlock's going super rage, roar, groar, kill you. Kill you. That sounds like something from More Than Meets the Eye. I love Padilla's art in this. It's so
I do too.
it's so
he's really in his element here.
Yeah.
You know, this aesthetic seems to really work for him. And I've seen a few places. There was one, I think it was one of the spotlights he did, and just wasn't gelling with it. But this is
Right.
really great.
Yeah, no, this is great. You know, you've got, Grimlock and his fire breath, and I love the shadowing on the 2-page panel where it's him just tearing into stuff, and he actually tears into. He nearly eats. I think it's Sludge's arm off.
Yeah,
Good lord!
I love that. That's an excellent panel. It's just very much, it looks like when
The
somebody's
whole
like when a
panel,
dog
whole
is like
thing.
got a toy it shouldn't have. Doesn't
Yeah.
it just look like he's
Yeah.
got a Dinobot chew toy?
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole panel it's so great because on the left page where one of the Dinobots says, "I think he's down, Grim." I love Padilla's shading, like the shadow of Grimlock with his glowing eyes and whatever kind of servo that is on the right hand side of him. You know what I mean? But it's like that whole shadow piece against the fiery background colors.
Yeah,
It's just so good.
it is.
It's just amazing. So then we head back to
There's a couple of those glowing eye bits in here. There's a lot of that, this sort of
yeah.
insinuating the dark, nature of the characters. Just there's something. Well, whether it's good or bad, certainly that they seem to want to hide.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, very much so. So the Predacon gets away with Swoop. So Swoop is captured. And we get Circuit or whatever the hell her stupid name is. The bitch.
Every time you say Circuit, I'm thinking like
I-
parakeet.
I know. That's, well, I don't
I'm
know.
thinking circuit, dude.
Yeah. She's got she's got her foot on Ultra Magnus's nether regions, let's say, because I don't think that's his stomach. I think it's a little lower than that.
I hadn't noticed.
Well, the only thing I can think of here
You know what I
is
hadn't noticed? I was too distracted by that helmet. Every shot she's in, I'm just that's all I'm looking at. I'm just going like, really?
that helmet.
Really?
Well, now we can actually kind of see her. Well, no, we can't see her lower jaw. I was gonna say we can see her lower teeth now, but
Every once the teeth pop up, sometimes it looks like the teeth are coming out of the chest plate.
that's
It's
I know.
like, so when you chew, does the top of your head come down? I presume you chew because you have, fucking teeth. I don't know. It's not. It's just not a great toy design.
No,
just
and
what
it's
it's
not
all
a great.
about.
Don't get me wrong, Padilla's doing a good job.
No, he's doing it justice. I don't think he's doing anything wrong with it. It's just like
No, it's the design of the character.
picture of
is
a crappy toy. Is, picture of a crappy toy. No matter how, it's a very polished turd. Well done. You drew that piece of crap just right.
Yeah.
Looks so bad I can smell it.
Well, I will say that if Magnus's, if they had torn Ultra Magnus limb from limb, the first thing that would be going through my head is Retgar. Don't worry, Kimosabe, we put your smashed up friend back together, all good as new, 90-day warranty.
I can't watch that part without thinking it's like, and now go to Earth and go get Optimus Prime.
I know.
Nobody thinks that.
So. So the next page is them scouring the wreckage, still looking for Ultra Magnus, and then we get to the flashback kind of
Dinobody things to each other.
Yes, they do.
You notice how in a robot mode, Sledge is kind of looking over his own shoulder?
Yes. That's so silly.
You'd be talking to him and be like, "Stop looking at me like that! I'm not. No, that one." Shades of Sapphire Beeblebrox.
Yeah. The greatest thing about this when I was reading it, because I read it just before we recorded, and reading through it from beginning to end without having to close an issue, put an issue back in a bag and you know what I mean. Just having the book in hand like this. This is a fast read for me. Like, I went through this in like no time, even though it is 4 issues. The writing is so good. It just is.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a big fan of all this so far. These are really playing out. Well, and it's nice too. It's refreshing from some of the other stuff. I really think it's nice that it's unencumbered by a lot of the continuity problems, frankly, that they have on the other side.
Yeah.
And when I say continuity problems, I think they've fixed a lot of the contradictions and stuff they had. The trouble is now it's just convoluted.
Yeah.
It's like all those fixes are their own, little turns that you have to keep track of. So this is kind of nice. The only thing it's really got to stick to is the show, which is on Earth and doesn't have a goddamn thing to do with it. I mean,
it doesn't even.
Ultra Magnus leaves.
Yeah.
Besides that, this could do anything.
And technically,
in fact, it seems a little too populated here.
Well, the thing is,
this is not what Cybertron seems like when they go there.
Trust me, I know. But Cybertron's a huge ass planet, so they may only be going to certain areas. They may not be where the Dinobots are.
And we discussed there should be some giant army of zombies running around somewhere.
Well, there will be eventually, or there have been.
There's going to be separate. Those are different things.
Yes.
You wish you're stretching. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. What I really like about the whole thing of tying it to the show specifically is Magnus is here. He's in the design. Like, this came out. These first, at least I would say the first 3 issues came out before we ever saw him in the show. So I would conclude that the show design and the comic design were done intentionally to be the same, to tie it together, obviously.
No.
But I like that.
These designs, Magnus looks totally out of place in this. He's the only thing that looks like the show, and he looks totally out of place. I'm sorry, he does. Even the other toys, all the other toys are from, well, no, that's not true. The toys that are, Beast Hunters toys that are like Predacons and stuff, those look fine here. Well, of course, I was just complaining about how bad Circuit looks, so maybe I'm wrong. But I mean, in general, they don't break the aesthetic though. Magnus is just like, what is a character from Prime doing in this? And you look at the cover again, you're like, oh, right, I guess.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's not that, the only Prime thing in here is on the cover. Anyway. So
they go find one of Shockwave's old bases, which is a prison, and they realize that.
I will say that's the one writing part. I was a little that whole thing about the idea of the the forged.
Yeah,
they seem to be mythical, but they also seem to be something Shockwave made up in the last half hour.
Yeah,
and it was Shockwave's old base, but now it's their prison, and it's like, even as they're saying, it's like, so is it like a prison full of them, or a prison for them, or a prison they run? And it's a prison they run. They finally get that out. Yeah. But it is a lot of they really shouldn't have given that base so much history. They could have just been like, we traced him to that hill over there. And it would have been okay. You know what I mean? They could have just moved on. I think they were trying to make it too many things. It was scary because it was Shockwave's base. It was scary because the Forge was there. It's scary. It's a rock. It's a rock with a building on it. Yeah. And later in it. But
what I do love is when we get to the inside of it, and Grimlock's like, the prison is the mountain. It's not the top. It's not on top of the mountain. It is the mountain. And I love the look down on the prison that's above the panel where he says that, because it's just this circular thing.
I know. I think I've seen that prison in Marvel like 15 times now, though. They keep having supervillain prisons that look like that. It's got to be a very standard super prison design. It's not that it's a well drawn shot. It looks good. I'm just saying, it looks a little familiar. Yeah. Here's the eye patches on all the.
Yeah, lose the eye patches. Yeah.
Well, no, I think even when later on we see Swoop converted, he has his eye tore out too. I think it's supposed to have something to do with what they do to you You're brainwashing.
Yeah.
So it's a plot point. It reminds me of some recent Doctor Who stuff too.
And I love this whole prison scene, the whole prison break-in, break-out thing. I really love that. I love the writing in it. I love how the Dinobots are pretty much ignoring everything he's telling them.
Yeah.
And then I love how the writing basically doesn't really pad it out, but it plans it out to where that was the plan all along, that they go against it's just...
Yeah, Magnus is like, I knew you were coming because I told you not to.
Exactly. Oh man, it's so great. It's just so great. It really is. And I love the I don't know, it's just every time that I see a new panel with this and the art, I can't say enough about the art. The art is so good. And Circuit introduces herself to Grimlock, and they go.
The coloring's really good too.
Yeah, I will say the coloring on her when she introduces herself to Grimlock, that's like it has the, obviously the fiery yellow reddish background, but she's green and yellow, so that it's kind of like, hey, here's two green Skittles marked up against a red Skittle wall.
And
I
really like this him throwing the sword. That's another good shot there too.
Yeah, throwing the fire sword. Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, they did all this lighting really well because off of their characters from the game, that was a very defining characteristic of all the game designs. Was they had lots of little lit points. Mm-hmm. I like the GCRN they have everywhere. They have down there. They again, they look nothing like things from Primewood.
Actually, the GCRN kind of look like
G.I. Joe's. Centurions. Remember Centurions?
Yeah,
kind of look like those, don't they?
You mentioned Marvel earlier. Do they look like any sort of Marvel robots to you? If you look on the page opposite of where the end of issue 2, I think it is, where Swoop says "All hail Shockwave," on the opposite page where Circuit is in the front, and there's the
I meant the ones in the prison. I'm still a little behind you, I think, looking at this.
Okay.
But you mean the
flying ones,
right? The horde of Ultrons.
Yeah, they look like Sentinels to me.
I think they look like Ultron. Look like a whole bunch of one-eyed Ultrons. Yeah, they've got some. I mean, well, they're all the same color. It really kind of, the danger of genericons.
Yeah, that's true.
On the other hand, they're also similar in the show. We've taken to calling them Steve. So
Steve, Gary. There's so many damn different names for them now.
I hadn't heard Gary before.
Yeah.
The genericons.
Yeah, the genericons. So the whole point here in issue 3 is that Swoop has been taken over. He's been brainwashed, and Circuit and Grimlock are going to have a fight to the death.
Touching the tip of his sword thing there is a little suggestive.
Where's the chalk when you really need it? Line up that 8 ball. Oh man!
Again, just toy problems come away. This very faithful drawing of this. When she's pointing up in the air, you see her shoulder plate come up.
Yeah.
And you can see the piece of plastic that's attached to.
Oh, I know it. It's so bad.
It's like it's a toy-centered comic when the dude is sitting there drawing it with the toy in front of him and posing it, because he could, he must have been able to see that. Yeah. And he, again, it's not a fault of the art. He was looking right at it. That's what it looks like.
Oh, God. Yeah, in the battle, when Grimlock does transform, next page over, when she's like, yes, embrace your truce. In that part, I can see screws.
Really?
When he's biting on her arm. Go up a page. Go up a couple of pages.
See, I have the issues, so I have to stop. You have to tell me when I'm changing over.
It's
For those of you keeping up with the pull bag drinking game, this is
yes. Sorry. It's after the panel where they're square. It's 2 pages after the panel where they're squaring off in the squared circle. It's when Grimlock transforms into Dino mode.
Yeah, you're just blazing through this. You and your trade paperback.
Oh boy.
So let's see, where are these screws? Yeah, well, I'm not sure those are screws. You know what? That's just artistic license, though, I think. Or maybe those look like that on the toy, but those aren't real screws, I don't think, because they'd be Phillips head.
Phillips not flat.
Yeah, no flathead screws on a toy. Come on, not often anyway.
It still look like screws, though.
On the other hand, advertising wise, I think this is a total success because I've reached this point in our discussion where I'm tempted to go buy a circuit just to examine it versus the images.
I triple dog dare you.
That's the easy one. I can pass that right on to the kids if I don't like it.
Oh yeah, that's true. They'll tear it apart.
That's the thing about all the ball joints. It keeps the things from breaking, but it also means like I would never have treated a toy harshly because if it broke, it was broken. My kids just like, what? I can toss it across the room and bust into like 58 pieces we'll never find, but you could just put it back together. You know what I mean? As long as Daddy goes finds all the pieces, and it'll be fine in half an hour. Like, God.
Just wait 30 minutes.
Yeah. They're like there. Now it's broken. That's how you break a toy.
Yeah, that is. And this battle is just vicious. This battle between the two of them.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Like the little reflection in her eyes thing there, like no, that's Swoop's eye. Yeah, I'm all over the place trying to keep up with you. No, it's a hell of a battle. Swoop goes after him. She keeps going after him. This whole comic is essentially people trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
If anything is the problem with this series, it's that this is the climax. They have a whole bit with Shockwave that's like a big dramatic thing in the next one, but it really feels like an afterthought. This is, this huge battle is really where it's at. And Grimlock's, deal is really mostly here, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, no.
They could have just ended this here and walked away, and that would have felt like a whole series.
Yeah, but they had to... Again, I don't want to use the term padded out, but they kind of had to do that because they kind of had to transition into what is on the list.
Sell all those Shockwave toys.
Well, that, but you got to transition into, because the funny thing was I saw, I think it was issue 4, when we'll get to that, but in issue 4, I think it was the only time, I could be wrong, I know in the ongoings, in the main written, More Than Meets the Eye, I know in those two, all of the ads come at the end of the books, at least in the issues that I have, in the single issues that I have. Mm. When I had the single issue for issue 4, I saw the ad for Beast Hunters before I got to the end of the story, and I'm like, well, what? Because originally I thought it was an ad for the... it was an ad for the new season, is what I thought it was.
Well, how could you tell?
Yeah.
But it isn't bad. So, okay, here, look at the way you can see that. I mean, I guess she's robotic, so you can get away with it saying but it looks like a hinge on a toy by the wings.
Yeah, it does.
She's saying, curse you, Autobots. It's just like...
Yeah.
That just looks like a toy hinge.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It's been a little too faithful to the thing. It's hard to blame him for it. It's like, it is what it looks like.
Are you talking about on her neck?
I'm talking about her wing when she's in her alt mode.
Oh, yeah.
There's one especially which says, curse you, Autobots.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm looking at now.
Because, you know why it looks too much like... It looks too much like a toy hinge. Yeah. It just really looks like the toy hinge.
Well, look
again, it's like I'm having trouble faulting the artist for drawing it correctly, but it's sort of it's the hazard of this being so...
Yeah, if
plastic-centric.
If they had ended this, like you said, where like this last page here, where that picture is, where she's saying "Curse you, Autobots," and they're like, "We're Dinobots." If they had ended it right there, it would have been a perfect lead-in to have this battle with Shockwave in the first issue of the ongoing, the Beast Hunters ongoing.
Yeah, well, they're telling a very different story in that, though.
No,
So I'm kind of glad they didn't do. I guess this almost feels like a very separate
one shot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I'd kind of when I was reading it, I'd wondered if there was only going to be 3 of these. I'd forgot, like, was there only going to be 3 of these? Because this seems kind of over. But then there's a whole other shtick, which isn't as, this is a whole issue of battle. That usually that's pretty climactic. I don't know, like, what are you going to do after that? And well, we'll get to it now. Like, literally now.
Yeah.
What do you do after that? And apparently,
I hate to say it, but it felt, this whole thing felt like I was reading a video game script. I hate to say that, but if you look at this, Predacon, they fought him first.
Mm-hmm. You're right. It does kind of have
They fight Circuit, which is supposed to be this big, epic one-on-one battle. And then, oh, hey, let's go to Dr. Wily's castle, and, you've got Shockwave now. It felt like 3 stages of a Mega Man game is what it felt like to me. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I love it. I love the story that they're telling, and I love that the
story they're getting to, even in this last issue, it's not a bad story. It just seems anticlimactic after that story.
Yeah.
And it seems too separate from it.
But it's not as anticlimactic.
It seems like it almost would have been better. Maybe this is what I should say. I'd rather that was its own 3-issue arc, and this should have been its own another 3-issue arc.
Yeah.
And it probably would have, there's enough going on here to do it, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is just like this is now the comic where we fight Shockwave instead of what we've been fighting for 5 issues or 3 issues.
Yeah.
It just seems unnaturally separate. So, here we are. And look at they got this big hulking shot of Shockwave here, who looks more giant than ever. I gotta say too, in this Prime design for Shockwave, they've got this big Horkin gun on his arm, and it looks like he's got a giant dustbuster. And it seems less threatening to me than his little one did, frankly. I never found the littler, that gun on his arm unthreatening. The impression it was always given was like, it's not huge, but if it shoots you, it really hurts you. It was kind of the deal, you know what I mean? It didn't have to be. This thing seems like it's the size of New Guinea, and so they show him in the show, and sometimes they hit each other when they're shooting each other in the show, and it damages them, but not like, not like it does in the movie. And you see this giant cannon in his arm, and he shoots somebody with it, and hits them in the back, and they fly across the room. But they're essentially undamaged, just a little charred. And it just seems like, what do you do with that thing? Dry your laundry? He shouldn't have a torso left if that's what, carrying that thing around.
Oh, yeah. It's,
must be tough to type with that thing. I gotta tell you.
Oh, God, there was oh, no. It was, again... To reference it to an 80s property.
And now a tragic comedy. Shockwave tries to dial a cell phone.
That's what his other arm is for. Oh, wait,
but you have to set it on a table or something,
Oh, yeah. That's but no, yeah, you're right. It does. His left arm here does look like a vacuum cleaner. And the only reason why I say that is because I had seen an episode of She-Ra where Hordak has a statue of a Horde trooper. I have no idea why he has a statue of a Horde trooper, but it's like his most prized possession because I don't know. I guess it's the Horde Nobel Peace Prize or something. I don't friggin' know. And Grizzlor almost
like the Nobel War Prize.
Yeah, the Nobel. Yeah. Nobel War Prize. Yeah. And Grizzlor almost destroys it, and then at the end of the scene, Hordak himself accidentally knocks it off, and it breaks. and Grizzlor cowers in fear because he switches to what looks like his cannon arm. And he's like, "You dunderhead, it's a vacuum cleaner." And he cleans up the damn pieces, and I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah, you're right." Shockwave's gun arm here in that first reveal of him, and what I love, we didn't really, we kind of know of it, but when I was reading the single issues, and I just saw, and I knew when that third issue was going to end, the whole sunlight thing. One eye looking thing on the previous page before his reveal, I was like, yeah, it's Shockwave, duh.
Well, what we could expect. I mean, Shockwave always did kind of turn into a hairdryer.
Yeah,
you know,
hairdryer that shoots energy weapons or energy blasts. Yeah,
he looked as much like as a gun as he did like a hairdryer. I mean, if you think about it. Just flip that targeting reticle down, and that's it. Now he's just a hairdryer.
Use the force, Luke. Luke, you've turned off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
It flies through space. I love when they try to explain that in the comics. It'll be like, he turned into his space gun mode. It's like, really? A space gun? That's what those look like, huh?
Yeah. Oh, man.
We've even got the shielding. The shielding he's got up looks like the shielding in the game.
Yeah. See, that's what I like about this. They're combining the game and the cartoon and the new artistic designs that Padilla has on this. But thankfully they went with the cartoon version of Shockwave's design, because I'm sorry.
Well, that's good. I think when they had opportunity, they leaned towards Prime because that's what's in the title. This is not technically. This is not the game universe. For instance, no. Sludge is alive.
Yeah.
Well, Sludge doesn't technically die, but he has been altered, which he didn't seem to be in the game.
I understand that it's not the game universe. What I'm saying is,
I know. I'm just
between the game comic, the one-shot 6-issue thing.
Yeah.
I much prefer the Prime stylized version of Shockwave in comic form than I do the game version. The game version, in those panels, sometimes it just looks so horrid.
I don't know if I don't think I actually haven't read that.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, well.
I think I've read some of them, but I mean, I have that toy. He looks fine. He looks fine in the game.
Yeah. The toy is fine, and
they're just drawing him badly.
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
Who does that one? Well, I'll have to check.
The one shot it's Barber doing the writing, and Verma. I guess Verma is a new.
Barber wrote. Yeah. I don't. I think I read.
Yeah, John Barber wrote it. Art by Dahir J. Verma.
Yeah, not familiar.
That's a new guy. Yeah. No, I'm not familiar with him anyway. Back to Prime Universe here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love.
See, all this lab stuff. This all seems like set up for more. Like that could have gone on for a while to some degree, but they've kind of got to rush through it. Yeah, we have another prison break, and we see Grimlock's face there. He looks like. I'm trying to think of what that. It was a character. Maybe it was Scavenger in Armada. His head kind of looked like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how many times I've seen
thinking of Grimlock particularly having a mouth. But
oh yeah, because they remove his faceplate, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's new. It's interesting. It's new. I don't particularly care for it, but I kind of see why they're doing that. I probably know why that they're doing that here, with him not having his mouth or his faceplate, is that they're trying to work it in so if the faceplate is removable in the show, kind of like Wheeljack and Optimus's faceplates.
Oh, I hope not. I'd rather. Not good. That I hope they don't do.
Yeah, no.
I don't thinking of that. I would never have thought that was his face plate before. I kind of thought it was his face. I think in
Yes.
most versions, I'm inclined to still think that it is.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Well, they take his faceplate off, and does he look like a Transformers Prime character?
No.
No.
He looks like a G1 character.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the scene that I jumped ahead earlier when I was talking about the prison break. This is the prison break scene I was talking about with Magnus arguing with the Dinobots about how it's all, how they planned it and whatever else.
You know why he doesn't look like a Prime character? He has a nose.
Yeah.
Anyone with a nose is not in Transformers Prime. I'm sorry. Cybertronians don't have noses in that world.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen.
That still makes me mad about Optimus, though.
Just like an animated, half their faces have to be chin.
Or in Sentinel's case, all chin.
Yeah. Sentinel's case, 90% of his face is chin.
Yes. So we get the breakout, and Shockwave is examining his tool set. And again, the coloring and the design. I know it's the Prime design. Just because in the show so far, first of all, in the actual cartoon series, his chest plate is black. It's not purple. That's because the rest of his body is purple. So, but I like how they blend all that together. I like how Padilla does that. I think that's awesome.
It's interesting here too in this comic. They go into video game wise. They really give his video game origin hardcore all the way up to when he throws Shockwave off the tower and eats his arm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that he actually eats it too.
Yeah.
And then because you don't know what happens to him in the game so they say, they're kind of establishing that was what happened and that they went and found Grimlock after he fell. So.
Yeah, Grimlock after the faceplate removal, there's a couple of times when he, to me, looks like Cup. Just in his face.
Yeah.
The way that his...
I think those wires give the impression of wrinkles.
Yeah.
Right, so we've established he looks old. He doesn't look like a Prime character. He has a nose, but is it just... I guess maybe it's just supposed to be a shadow there, but it looks like he has eyebrows.
Are you talking about the page where he's
It's just like half the page is his head. He's gonna be all squinty. Yeah. Is that a shadow? I guess it's supposed to be a shadow, but it looks like he has eyebrows. Looks like he's related to Rung.
Actually, there's another page coming up where it's after the battle here with Shockwave. After the
Dinobots. Yeah, they break out predictably and
they break out.
See, it all happens too fast. Like you don't have enough time to even worry about some of this stuff. That's why it feels anticlimactic. It's like climactic. It's just like, we just had a big battle and now we're gonna go rescue Grimlock, and then we do.
Yeah. They're at the point
where they're clean.
Yeah, it does kind of wrap up a little too nicely in a little bitty bow, but I would say he does. He either has eyebrows or he has mascara. Because
he doesn't have them. I think that's supposed to be the shadow of that thing over him.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about specifically when they go to rescue him.
He has a hell of a brow. Oh well, yeah, he does. Now his brow is furrowed, but again, it's coming up in a way that looks like an eyebrow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's hard to tell. In that one panel, it just looks. Well, actually, I can kind of see it.
In the one panel where Magnus gives him back his face,
he does look like Cup there.
Yeah,
color that differently. You could just have that be Cup.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And of course,
also kind of looks like old Batman and Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I can see that too. Old Bruce. Yeah, I can see that. And then of course we get to
Guinness.
Yeah, I know. Terry. He's
the
gone.
holographic Shockwave, also very like the video games. But it gotta say, what was the point of having them rip him up like that? Just to be like 2 seconds later and be like, nope, wasn't me.
Yeah, that was an android.
It seems like a very alien concept to the Transformers, the making of a robotic duplicate of yourself. Because you just think like, well, why wouldn't people just do that all the time if that was possible? It's like, what is this, surrogates? Where's Bruce Willis?
So basically, Shockwave created Hardak.
Shockwave is Hardak. That's who should voice Shockwave. That's what they keep messing up with this. The guy who did Hardak. He does all sorts of stuff. What's his name? He's all over the place these days.
God, I'd have to look it up.
He was Prowl in animated.
Oh, Jeff Bennett.
Is that his name? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we see the holographic Shockwave, and it's not the end, and everything else, and you know.
I'm thinking about other shows. What's her name? Margaret? Is that how you say it? Margaret?
Oh,
Margaret?
Margaret Scott.
Margaret?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I was trying not to embarrass myself by saying it wrong. She also wrote an episode of Rescue Bots that was really good.
Yeah.
I've seen all of those. I have kids.
Yes.
I probably would have seen them anyway.
Yes, you would have.
I don't know who I'm kidding.
I mean, it's basically Wolverine in a giant heat robot. You know, that's if that's not a ringing endorsement for Rescue Bots, Wolverine as a hot robot. You know, a robot that not breathes fire, but
hot robot. I think you might want to rephrase that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think that's what you meant to say.
Yeah, no.
Fire truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot. It's not. They have like hot everything as some kind of transformer, don't they? He's Heatwave.
He's Heatwave.
That's his name.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not Hot Spot. He's not Hot Rod. He's not Hot Shot.
No, he's definitely not Hot Shot. Oh God. So yeah, we get the holographic Shockwave, and then we cut to the Arc 2, I guess, on one of them ships.
And there's Prowl's nickname, Not Rod.
Yeah. Not Rod.
No.
Police enforcer.
Yeah.
And Magnus tries
another convenient shuttle.
Yes, another convenient shuttle.
All of Cybertron is just like dystopian, broken down wilderness, scattered with pristine spaceships, just salted with them.
I know. But I do like that Magnus does call them fellow Autobots. I thought that was
Well,
cool.
I mean, that was certainly part of the point of the thing.
Yeah.
Actually, Magnus seems a lot nicer in here than he does on the show.
Yeah, he does. I love this last page of the book, though. I think that's so great. We all know the story. The Autobots fought the Decepticons. Cybertron lost. The end. I mean, that's, sure, there are stories to tell in the middle, but, I mean, everybody knows that.
That's what happens in the first 7 minutes of the 84 cartoon.
Yeah.
I love the last line of this comic. They're walking off. Dibs on Sentinel Prime's palace.
I know. The adventures of the Dinobots continue in Transformers Prime Beast Hunters. Overall, I love the story. I thought the story was great. The art is amazing. It's so in depth and so.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this series.
Yeah,
and like I said, only in that circuit was a little too toy accurate. Was it annoying that it was a bit of a, it's a tie-in book. That's what it's for. Tie-in. It's not that you can't have tie-in books. Just that they shouldn't be confused with like, okay, this is my long-running comic book that I'm writing to be a comic book for people to go into a comic book store and buy it like a regular comic book.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, there's a TV show on and we've made this product to go with it as a complimentary item. That's what this is. This is complimentary to the show and to the game and to some of their toys. And it also happens to be really good. If it were like, if they changed, Robots in Disguise into this one week, I think we'd all be pretty pissed off. Not that it's bad, but it's like, okay, where's my like comic I'm reading? That's the story came first with the characters, and then you know what I mean. As opposed to like, these are the two characters we want you to sell this week. Make a story with them. And I'm sorry, and sometimes those turn out fine. Sometimes those can be really good. But I do think in general that the quality of everything suffers when it's like, we need this issue to be about, a map, a glass of water, and a potato. it really limits the author's, you know, capacity to do what they need to do. Now here, I think there was this, actually, despite that, it's made to be this thing because of the setting, being on Cybertron, being away from the show, because it's after any of the events of the game that would be. Like I said, the only thing that was really limiting here would be that, like, the characters had to be there, but, we knew Ultra Magnus was not going to die.
Yeah.
Beyond that, this wasn't really limited by the tenets of its surrounding structure. And, if you the Dinobots is a nice, full, complementary cast of heroes to have. And you throw in a couple of, they had those two, Predacon toys show up in perfectly sensible places. So it really didn't suffer. So this turned out very well. And I was pleased with it. I'm really excited to read more. I'm more, even there's only one issue out of it, I'm more into the Beast Hunters comic that's just come out. I think it's building on this really well. It's a number one, but it feels like more because they've had these, and that I'm really excited. I wouldn't mind seeing it go beyond. I mean, it's only one issue right now. This is a stretch to say, but at the moment, I wouldn't mind seeing it go beyond its show. I like it more than its show. I could stay awake all the way to the end.
Oh, come on. Let's not get in that argument again.
We don't have to get it. We are talking about a Transformers Prime comic. A throwaway joke here is not entirely inappropriate.
Right. I do know a few months ago, after we had recorded this episode, Margaret Scott had said that she had worked on up to at least issue 6 of the Beast Hunters ongoing. So it's going to be around for a while, I think. Even if it doesn't tie into the show. Honestly, I think if it does extend beyond the show scope and it doesn't even tie into the show, you can always tell stories with the Dinobots. I mean, you can find something for Grimlock to smash.
Yeah, well, they've got the run of Cybertron.
Yeah.
I mean, the writers, beyond the Dinobots, they can, I guess we won't spoiler or go into the new. Some of the characters they introduced are the sort of things we haven't been able to get at all in the elsewhere in the fandom at the moment, and I think it's good place to start. Lots of stuff to do with there's a lot of characters that have just been left out, and certainly in terms of the Prime universe, there's a lot of places to go that just haven't been looked at all in that way. So. They've really, they've got the reboot I wish that the proper comics had, in a way. They can't have Prime in the Earthbound Autobots at all, but they can, I imagine, if they want to, but not freely. But they've really gotten the reboot to just sort of like, hey, we got this whole universe to play with that nobody's using.
I love the covers on these, and I love we mentioned earlier in the episode of the podcast where I like how the story just starts and ends. There's no breaks for covers, because at least the first two covers, cover 1 and cover 2, they are almost like a mural to each other, because it looks like they're one giant splash page scene.
Mm-hmm. Well, these really, they start and stop pretty seamlessly. There's no and 2 weeks later in the middle of this story.
Yeah.
Which happens, and that could be jarring if you didn't have some kind of separation.
Yeah. And I love the game art or the game designs with Swoop and Snarl and Grimlock. I love that. That's awesome. And then we get the other Dinobots versus Shock. See, I think these 4 pages here, the Shockwave page, the other Slag and Sludge, and then these 4 pages here that are done by Nick Roche, I think they're supposed to be one giant. If you somehow photocopied them, cut them out, and put them all side by side, they would be one giant mural with a battle between Shockwave and the Dinobots, and that would be so. I would love to have this full image. That would be so awesome.
This like I said, these are really good here. I'm enjoying this, the art in this universe. This is playing. Works for me. It looks distinct and different from the others, and I think in a good way. You know, like I think it's good for the books to have their own feel. I think that, and this has been very consistent, and I'm enjoying it.
And for those of you who haven't seen the episodes of Transformers Prime where Magnus has his own hammer, after a while, there are two animation shots. Animation art shot 1 is of Shockwave from the cartoon, and animation art 2 is Ultra Magnus holding the Forge of Solus Prime.
Yeah, I love the explanation for the, you know, it's out of power and doesn't fix things anymore, but it's just like it's still a big hammer. Yeah. You know, it's like I'd still like to hit things with this.
Yeah. And then we get a shot of Grimlock, and at the last page is a shot of Shockwave's game design. So no, overall,
just realizing that in Wreck-It Ralph, Fix-It Felix seems to have the Forge of Solus Prime.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, you're so right. All right, so before we close, we've already had a Amazon pre-order go up for Transformers Prime Beast Hunters trade paperback. We have no idea what this is going to collect.
Yeah.
But
well, up to issue 6 apparently. Well, right, it's probably
possibly,
4. She's written up to 6, so it'll be 1 through 4, 1 through 6.
Yeah, it'll probably be, and it's supposed to be released in October of this year. It says 104 pages.
They pump out a trade every time they make 4 issues these days.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So no, but yeah, I'm
we
so.
print 4 comics. You give us $20 right now.
So, yeah. Yes, once the Beast Hunters comic has more issues under its belt, at least the first 4 issues are out, Ender will be back, and we will be talking about those as well. He's also going to be back.
Sorry.
He's also going to be back when we eventually get around to doing Robots in Disguise. I have gotten the first volume. I have yet to read it because I want to read it before we actually get to podcasting about it, which that won't be for a while yet because of scheduling stuff and everything else. So,
and if you miss me, you can just crack your windows open, and on the wind, you can usually hear me yelling, no matter where you are in the continental United States.
All right, so that's going to do it for episode 18 here in the Pull Bag, and we will catch you next week when we have an Origins episode. We're going to talk to Ryan the Uneven Flow when he is talking about his comic origins and his opinions on comic books, and we will see you then. Any final thoughts, Ender?
No.
No. There's no Impurata for you, I guess, then. We'll catch you next week, folks.
Me, Grimlock, need new strategy. Me, Grimlock, not podcaster. Me, Grimlock King. You just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.